In the present video, I will be explaining how to use the calculator BA Plus from Texas Instruments for making computation in statistics. The first things to do is setting the number of decimal places in your calculator. By default, the calculator uses 2 decimal places. So press the second function key and the decimal point to start. This opens the format worksheet in your calculator. Observe that anytime that I'm pressing a key here, you are going to see the key that I press on the left side. Okay, now I'm going to choose the number of decimals. If I want to choose 5 decimal, 3 decimal, 6 decimal, choose whatever of these keys here. I'm going to choose number 9. Appears 9 here, and as I told you, the key that I'm pressing will appear here, so you can follow this easier. So 9, and after choosing this number 9, press the key Enter. If you do that, now you see the equal sign beside this word there, and that means that for sure this 9 is inside of the memory of your calculator. If you want to quit this format worksheet or whatever worksheet of your calculator, the only thing that you need to do is second function and the key quit. So here, second function, quit. And now you are out of this format worksheet. Because you choose number 9, and choosing number 9 as the number of decimals means that the calculator is going to use until 9 decimal places. The number of decimals that's going to appear now for every result will be actually the number of decimals that this computation has at the end. Now we'll see how to set up the statistic worksheet for working statistics problems. This worksheet is reached by pressing the keys second function and the key for number 8. That also works for the STAT worksheet. If you do that, and if nobody has worked statistics problem in your calculator before, you will see the short word len in your calculator. Let's see, second function 8, and appears this word here. Observe that you can see what I'm pressing if you see the keys on the left. This len stands for the linear regression mode, and it will be useful for estimating linear regression parameters, one important topic in statistics. You will need to press the key second function and set, that is the same key for enter, to change this mode. So pressing second function set, change this for the ln function. This ln will be useful for working a different type of problems. So the calculator now is ready to compute or to estimate logarithmic parameters. This will be another important topic in statistics. So you can continue pressing the key second function set, and changing all these different modes that the statistics worksheet has. So let's continue pressing second function set, and you're going to see different modes. There are 5 different modes in this calculator. You should continue pressing the second set until you reach the mode that you are looking for. In our case, we want this mode, 1V, that stands for one variable. So you can work problems related to one variables in this way. So anytime second set will change the mode. If you press second set, you change the mode until you get this 1V. Once you are happy with the mode that you are looking for, in this first course, we are going to be using this mode, 1V. So then you can press second quit, and then your calculator will be ready for working any type of problems. You don't need to do this again, just once. You will need to change this mode only if you are in a different course when you are working different type of problems. Now, let's see what to do if we have a problem. Imagine that this is a sample or a population. So this is a data set, and you need to find the statistics related to this data set. For example, you want to compute the mean, the standard deviation of this data set. The first things to do is input all the data set into the memory of your calculator. So there is a worksheet for the data set, and this is in the key 7 in your calculator. So you press second data, second clear work. So this key at the bottom of your calculator, in the bottom left corner of your calculator. If you do that, it will appear x01. So the calculator is asking you what is the first variable of the variable x. So remember, second 7, second clear work. When you press second 7, you are in the data set worksheet. And when you press second clear work, you are clearing a previous work that you have made in the calculator. So it will be a good idea if you do that all the time, because you need to clear the memory of your calculator or the memory of this worksheet. Okay, second data, second clear work. Now you need to enter the first value of x. And I noticed that the first value of x is 39. So I'm pressing 39. And now you see this 39 in the screen of your calculator. You see here what I press. Now, this number is not in the memory of your calculator. You need to enter, to press the key enter in order that this number is in the memory of your calculator. So I press enter, and you see immediately the equal signs. Now 39 is the first variable, the first value of the variable x. And then scroll down. You scroll down, the calculator is going to ask you for y. This y is actually the frequency, how many times the 39 appears. Because you don't see only, there is no frequencies here. So by default, the calculator has this number 1. So the only that you need to do, if you're working a problem without frequency, is the data set is not a group data set. So you can actually scroll down again. So scroll down, so press the key, the arrow key down in your calculator. Scroll down, and the calculator is going to ask you for the second value of x, and the second value is 47. So I'm going to press 47, and you see the 47 in the screen of your calculator, but I press enter. When you see these equal signs here, it means this value is inside the memory of your calculator. Okay, and then scroll down. Please see this key, scroll down to see the other value. But this is, of course, the frequency of the second value, but there is no frequency here. So you need to scroll down twice if you are working with problems that are ungrouped data set. So this is an ungrouped data set. There is no frequencies here. So you scroll down after enter the value of x. The third value of x is 51. So I'm going to press 51. And when I press 51, I press enter. Anytime after a number, press enter, and then scroll down twice. You scroll down twice, and the calculator is going to ask you for the fourth value. And the fourth value is 59, so press 59, and this is 59, and don't forget the enter. You see the equal sign in the screen, you have you have entered actually the data in the memory of your calculator. And then scroll down twice. You scroll down twice, and then the calculator is asking for the fifth data, 64. So I'm going to press 64, and now enter. And that's it. We have entered all the data set, the whole data set. What we need to do now? Okay, now we need to go to the second stat. So you press second function stat, so the second function key and the number A key. And this is the statistics are here, but will be the mean and the standard deviation of this data set. So I'm going to press here second function stat. And when you do that, because you already set up your calculator, or we already set up the calculator for working with one variable, so we already see in the screen this. If you don't see that one variable, you are working with the problem of one variable, you will need to set up your calculator, remember, with second function set. Okay, let's see how to see the answers, how to see all the statistics that this calculator have computed already. So you press the arrow key down. If you press here this arrow key, you see the first statistic. The first statistics is the number of data set, how many elements in the sample or how many elements in the population. And we know already that there are 5 of them. And then just continue scrolling down to see the other answers. Scroll down, so press the arrow key down, and you see the mean. The mean of this data is 52. We already computed by the way. So I computed by hand here, and it was 52. I continue scrolling down, and I see the standard deviation. The standard deviation is 9.84. 9.8488, 57802. Obviously, now I need to round back the number of decimal that I need. If you want that the answer will be with 2 decimal, or with 3 decimal, whatever, you can format your calculator at the beginning with 2, 3 decimal, the decimal that you want. Okay, but in this case, we format the calculator with 9 decimal, so it means that the answer will be so far with 9 decimals maximum. Okay, so if I continue scrolling down, I'm gonna see this here, the again standard deviation, but this number will be the answer if what we have here is a population. So we should know if we are working with a sample or with a population. Because if we are working with a sample, so we can scroll up, for example here, scroll up and check what is the standard deviation for if this is a sample. But if this is not a sample, then we scroll down and then we see what will be the standard deviation for a population if we know that this is a population. Okay, we continue scrolling down, we see other answers. For example, here is another statistic. This is the sum of the x. So if I add together all these numbers, the answer is this 260. And if you continue scrolling down, you see the last of the statistics that this calculator compute in this mode. And this is the sum of the x squares. If I square all these numbers and then add together all these squares, the answer will be this 30,908. Okay, that's what we need to do if we want. If we want to see all the statistics that this calculator compute. But in mind that we want to know the variance. This is the standard deviation. We computed 9.85 by hand. We want to see again what is the standard deviation. Okay, I can go up. I'm going to scroll up now. And when I scroll up, I see all the answers that I saw before. For example, the sum of the x. I can go here. This is the standard deviation. Is this where a population? And I continue up to see the standard deviation. When I have the standard deviation, and this is my standard deviation, 9.85, that is actually the answer that we got working with using a formula. If we have this standard deviation and I want to see the variance, remember that the variance is the square of the standard deviation. As soon as I see this in my screen, I just press the key S squared. If I do this, appears the number 97. 97 will be the variance of this data set. Now, if I want to continue in the worksheet, what I need to do is just pressing the arrow key, for example, and I will see the values again of the standard deviation. And I can continue scrolling down or scrolling up, wherever, yeah? And then you're going to see the other values. But what to do if we have group data? What to do if we have a table when we have the frequency of classes and the midpoint? If we don't have the midpoint, we know that we can compute it just at getting the average of the lower bound and the upper bound of each of the intervals of each of the classes. Okay, what to do in this case? Again, don't forget, anytime I'm going to press a key here, this key will appear at, on the left. Okay, let's do it. Press from the beginning. Second data, second clear work. If you do that, the calculator is going to ask you immediately what is the value of the first value of x. What is the value of the first observation of the variable? This observation in a group data set will be the midpoint. So when I ask you here the midpoint of each value, this will be this x here. When the calculator asks you for the first value of the variable, if you have group data, it will be the first midpoint. And the first midpoint is 30, so I'm going to press 33, 0. You're going to see this 30 in your calculator, but if you don't press enter, this is not going to be inside of the memory. When you press enter is when you see these equal signs here. Okay, press the arrow key down. So I pressed 30 enter so far. Yeah? Now I'm going to press the arrow key down. So scroll down, and the value of y by default, as we saw before, is number 1. Please change this by the frequency of the class. So y will be the frequency of the class if we have group data. And then the frequency of the class was 5. I press 5 and enter. Now you need to press a number and enter anytime. So, and after you press enter, scroll down. I scroll down and the calculator is asking me what is the second value of the variable. So again, press the second midpoint. The second midpoint is 40. So I'm going to press here 40, 40 and enter. Then scroll down to see what is the frequency. And if you want to see the frequency, okay, then the frequency is 10. The 10, just press 10, 1, 0, 10, and then enter. Anytime. Value, enter. Frequency, enter. Okay, we have already pressed the frequency of the second value. Let's go to the third class. And the third class, when you scroll down, the third class was 50. So press 5, 0, 50, and then enter. And remember, after you press enter, scroll down. So scroll down when you see y, the third frequency. By default is 1, but you are going to change this. The third frequency is 21. So 21, and enter. And after enter, scroll down. You scroll down, the fourth value of x is 60, so it will be 6, 0, 60, and then enter. Scroll down after the enter, don't forget, scroll down, and by default the frequency is 1, but you're going to change that the fourth frequency is 16. So 1, 6, 16, and then enter. After you press this frequency, scroll down, and then go to the fifth value of x. It will be 70. So it will be 7, 0, 70, and then enter. After you enter, you scroll down, and finally the last of the frequency. And the last of the frequency is 8. So I'm going to press 8 and then enter. So you are done entering the data. Obviously, if you have more data, you continue scrolling down, etc., until you get the last one. Of course, we can review our work. So we can scroll up to see if we have any mistake entering the data. If we notice there is a mistake, we can make a correction, and after we make the correction, don't forget the enter. Okay, let's see now how can we see the answers. How can we see the statistics that we can compute from this table? Remember that we solved this problem before. And the solution was actually completing a table, making two more columns, finding the sum of the fx and the sum of the fx squared. And we found that the mean was 52 and that the standard deviation was 11.32 millions. So this is a problem that is already solved in another video. But what to do if we have, or how to see the answer if we have a calculator? Okay, as I told you, we press the second function key and then STAT when you're going to see the answer. So press second function, STAT. And if you see that, I mean, if you set up your calculator for working with one variable, then the screen of your calculator will be showing you this 1V. If you see that, you are going to see the answers immediately. If you don't see 1V, then you will need to set up your calculator with second set, until you get this 1V in the screen. After you see this 1V, then you can start scrolling down to see all the answers. So we're scrolling down, and when I do that, I see the first answer. The first answer is the number of elements in the sample or in the population if you have a population. And actually, if you know this, n is actually the sum of the frequency. And the sum of the frequency is exactly 60. So you can get this 60 from the calculator. Then you can scrolling down, and the mean is 52. So we compute this in already by hand before. And then you continue scrolling down, and we get the standard deviation. That was 11.32. At that moment, I have set up my calculator to give you the answer with 2 decimals. So before solving this problem, I just press remember second function format, and I choose 2 as the number of decimal. For that reason, you see only 2 decimals here. So the mean, if you scroll down, the mean is 52, and then it's just, so if you continue scrolling down, you see the standard deviation, 11.32. But imagine that this is not sample. Imagine that this is a population. Of course, then your answer must be this one. So you're scrolling down and see the answer in case that what you have here is a population. So it will be 11.22, a little different. If you continue scrolling down, you see other statistics. For example, you can see the sum of the x. And the sum of the x is actually the sum of the fx. Because you can consider this x, this x is 30, but there are 5 of these 30. So actually adding all these 5x, the answer is 150. So the sum of the x is actually the sum of the frequency times x, 3,120. That's the answer that we get here. If I continue scrolling down, is 169,800. That is exactly the sum of the fx squared. If we want to compute the variance, remember we can get the standard deviation. So we can scroll up until the standard deviation. And when we have the standard deviation in my screen, then I will be pressing x squared. Let's do it. So I scroll up, so I see the previous result, the sum of the x. Then I continue scrolling up, and then I see the previous result, that was the population standard deviation. But I need the example standard deviation. I continue scrolling up until I get the standard deviation. After I get the standard deviation, I just press the key x squared. If I do that, I get the answer 128.14. That was the variance. If I want to see again the other answers, what I need to do is just press whatever of these 2 keys, and I continue in the STAT worksheet. Okay, that concludes my explanation about how to use the about how to use this calculator to compute the statistics when we have one variable. Thank you.